Welcome to the AI Research Roundup. I'm Alex. Today, we are looking at a paper from the Hugging Face trending list, published on December 4th, 2025, about a week ago. It introduces a new speculative decoding framework called ARBITRAGE that uses a small router model to decide when to call the big model, cutting reasoning latency by up to 2 times while keeping accuracy the same. The paper is titled Arbitrage, Efficient Reasoning via Advantage-Aware Speculation. And as we will see later, the implications for faster and cheaper chain-of-thought reasoning are pretty significant. Also, the authors shared a GitHub repo. There you'll find the main arbitrage.py entry point plus scripts to spin up draft, target, PRM, and router servers, along with an example sweep script. The README walks through run types like RSD, Oracle, router, and generate, and gives install and setup instructions. Figure 1 shows how Arbitrage decides when to trust the small draft model versus calling the expensive target model, so computation is only spent when it really helps. On the left, the draft proposes a reasoning step and the router scores how likely the target would be better. If that probability is low, the draft step is accepted. On the right, if the router predicts a clear advantage for the target, the system regenerates that step with the big model instead. The color legend explains which model's outputs actually contribute to the final chain of thought. Figure 2 makes the cost issue concrete by contrasting how reward-guided speculative decoding and arbitrage handle the same math proof. The upper row shows that reward-guided speculative decoding keeps rejecting low-scoring steps and regenerates them, even when the target model does not really improve them, so compute is wasted. The lower row shows arbitrage, which only calls the target when the predicted advantage is positive, skipping useless regenerations. Figure 3 makes the core problem really explicit. As reward-guided speculative decoding defers more steps to the target model, the share of those calls that are wasted rises almost linearly. The red curve shows that when the system defers most steps, roughly half of all target invocations give no better reasoning step than the draft, so compute is effectively thrown away. This pattern motivates a smarter, advantage-aware router. Figure 4 shows that advantage-aware routing gives more accurate answers for the same amount of trust in the draft model. The 6 panels compare accuracy against acceptance rate across 3 model pairs and 2 math benchmarks. In each panel, the green arbitrage oracle curve forms the upper bound, while the orange arbitrage router curve tracks it closely and stays above the blue reward-guided speculative decoding curve. This pattern means the router spends target compute where it truly matters, so it achieves better compute quality efficiency. Figure 5 shows that arbitrage gives better accuracy for the same waiting time than reward-guided speculative decoding, so it uses compute more efficiently. The left panel on Math 500 shows the orange arbitrage router curve staying above the blue reward-guided speculative decoding curve and reaching the target model almost 1.6 times faster. The right panel on Olympiad Bench shows an even larger gap, with about 1.97 times speedup at matched accuracy. In both panels, each step to the right means the system calls the large target model more often. Yet arbitrage turns that extra latency into accuracy more effectively. Table 1 shows that the simplest router objective, a 2-class decision between accept and escalate, actually works best. The key metric here is Spearman correlation, which measures how well the router's scores preserve the true ranking of step quality. The 2-class model achieves the highest correlation while keeping accuracy for both labels balanced. More finely split variants with 4 or 10 classes either lose correlation or skew accuracy toward one label. Alright, the big takeaway is that advantage-aware routing turns speculative decoding into a smarter broker of compute, calling the big model only when it truly improves a reasoning step and nearly matching the oracle's efficiency. That points toward more responsive, cheaper chain-of-thought systems. That is it for this episode of the AI Research Roundup. I am Alex. Thanks for listening.